What's up, bro? Who are you? Where you from? What do you do?
My name is Lui Danzi. I'm originally from Brazil. I try to DJ every now and then. Try to throw it down, make some music.
Nice, man. And what type of music do you produce? What type of mixes do you do when you perform at gigs?
I've done a little bit of everything. I've done some techno. I've been DJ for 20 years, producing for 13, 14 years. And when I first started, it was more like the groovy type of techno, 125 to 126 BPM. But then when the tech houses start like growing, I start experimenting with more tech house sounds. But nowadays, I go everywhere. I try something more organic, some melodic, indie dance, and Afro house has been something I've been producing a lot lately.
That's amazing, man. So talk about your latest release with La Gente Groove, man. Talk about what's the name of the track and the story behind it.
The track is called El Tocador, and it has a sample from a reggaeton song, Tito el Bambino, something like that. And I got caught on that little part of the sample that says El Tocador. And I don't know, I kind of fall in love. And it was an attempt of me doing something more like to that, 128 tech house type of thing that is being popping a lot, with the Spanish vocals and things like that. So I love the track. When it was done, for me, it was like I knew who I wanted to release with when it was done. But I don't know, my heart went with La Gente Groove because they've been giving me, so many opportunities. They threw a party in Miami, and they invited me to go there with them at Paraíso Stereo, and I found a home for the track, with them.
So talk to me about the relationship between you and La Gente. Like, how'd you guys first meet? How did you guys kind of hit it off?
I my agency that has been with me, I would say since 2018, which is Twisted Funk. They have a record label as well. Ollie has been with me forever. So Ollie always gave me a lot of opportunities when it comes to the local scene. I started playing with the guys from J Boa. J Boa, is that how you say it? So the guys from the J Boa, Jeff, which is the one running the record label, we used to play a lot on Twisted Funk events. So that's how we met. So when he told me about, doing his own thing, he started inviting me to be part of the team. And then, I think naturally that's how it happened that, eventually, I wanted to release with them and he invited me to send him some demos as well. So we've been in the scene for quite some time.
Amazing. And then talk to me about your creative flow. Like when you created this track, El Tocador, like how'd you get into it? Like did it just kind of come to you, or is it something that you had cooking for a while and you just kind of brought it back up and you put it in the air fryer? Like how did that
It
work?
was, it was. I was actually doing another track, which it came out back in 2020, and I had that sample still, but I felt like it didn't come out the way I wanted. There was something missing, and then somehow, I started working back again, like almost 5 years later. And this year it just came. Right now, like I say, it's a phase of me to experiment with different sounds, but that one I knew that it has some potential, and a lot of tech house with 128 BPM is coming out. Like faster tech house with those type of percussions and everything. So I felt like I can do a retouch on this one, and then the vocal kind of came naturally too. When I found these vocals, I was like, okay, this is what I need, and I kept very simple. I didn't add too much elements to it. So yeah.
Well, talk about your influences. I know you spoke a little bit about Oscar G earlier, but talk about musical or non-musical. Like what shapes your productions?
I listen to everything really. I don't have any specific genre. I'm 41 years old, so I'm from the 80s, and I grew up listening to a lot of disco because my mom, she's a fanatic about disco from late 60s, 70s, early 80s, and I grew up listening mostly to that type of funk, soul, type of disco. Naturally, when I started listening to house music on when I was a teenager, in the 90s. So, I kind of fall in love with that because I already had, a background of listening to disco. And there is a quote that says that house is disco's revenge. And I believe that, surely, because it is a music that is made for you to dance. So for me, listening to house music was very natural. And then Oscar G, like I was telling you early, it was one of the tracks that made me fall in love with electronic music. Him and Ralph Falcon back in the days did a song called Fire Up. Their duo, fucking Green Dogs. And when I first started DJing with vinyl, it was one of the first vinyls that I bought. That I was like, I need this one. And after that, every single track that I was listening, it would make me fall more and more and more with electronic music. But I listen to everything, not just electronic music or house music in specific.
And then tell me about the scene right now. Obviously, you play at gigs in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. What do you feel like is missing right now from the game?
A good thing that I've always felt, especially here in Miami, is because you have space. You have, there are no doors closed for anyone. You have opportunities anywhere you go. If you're doing something that it can be shared in a way that you can add to the community, I think there is always opportunities. There's always open doors. Since I started DJing, there wasn't one door that was closed for me. But of course, I go out, I support, I meet people, I network. I think it's part of the process. I don't think necessarily something's missing, but I do feel like when you achieve a certain level on your productions, of support from bigger artists, I think what is missing is that they don't give you an opportunity for you to headline, for example, because they want to see how many followers you have on social media, or and how many people you bring, and it's like, and I think it is about that. So I think what is missing, in my opinion, is that give to Caesar what is Caesar's. And then for me, it's like I've been working so hard for many years, and sometimes I try to get a gig in a place that I feel that I can, make it happen in a way that, I'm going to bring a good vibe, I can bring a good amount of people too, but they just prefer going with the people that has, 500,000 followers. And I don't agree with that. And I think that is what is missing, is that, it's not about that. It's about the work that you've been doing. And sometimes they don't give you a chance. They do put you to play, but to open to someone or to do this and that, they don't value as much. And I think if you're working hard and you're doing something for the community, you should be valued for it.
And then in terms of a genre of music, do you feel like there's one that's maybe like overlooked in the scene right now, or maybe one that's coming up quietly that people aren't going to see coming, but it might explode in the scene in the next couple of months?
But I think in the music industry in general, not just in the electronic music world, it's like there are trends. You had rock and roll in the 80s, and you had more like kind of house music, pop house music in the 90s, and then on the 20s you had like I don't know, like a type of hip hop mixed with rock and other stuff. And then when it comes to electronic music right now, it's like you have this roller coaster. Some days it's like techno, and then some days you have more like Afro, and then you have the melodic. When I first started producing, one thing that was popping, it was tech house, even though I was producing a little bit of more groovy techno, but tech house was coming out. And then I saw the change from tech house to techno, and everybody was producing techno. Everybody was playing more techno, high speed techno. And then nowadays you have Afro house, those melodic, most of the times they make like remixes of songs from the 80s, from the 90s, using a lot of vocals and samples from those eras. And I think it's just trends. But me personally, I don't go with trends. I mean, I take advantage of it somehow, but I do whatever I feel like more comfortable with, I don't get stuck ever. If you listen to one of my sets, I never get stuck in one genre. I can do a full set of 2-3 hours of pure Afro house, but I don't like that. I like to take you on a journey. You know what I mean? There's so much you can show. Afro house is not just that melodic remixes that you're listening that Hugel or other superstar DJs are making. You still have those soulful type of Afro. You still have that Afro that comes from from Africa, the artists that you never heard in your entire life. The a piano type of thing. That you can add. You can always add that to your set, and I try to go everywhere. I don't get stuck.
That's amazing, bro. And like when you're playing on these gigs, right, and you're cooking, like, what's the craziest shit that you've seen or someone has done while you're DJing at a gig?
Like craziest experience.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm very open about it. In this industry, we all know that you have three things that they go together. It's the music, sometimes alcohol and drugs, and and the vibe, the people that want it or not creates that energy. And then when I first started DJing, it was when I moved to Miami. So I've never done anything in my life when I was younger. And then I started, doing some stuff here and there. And then when I started DJing, I used to DJ doing some stuff. And I was like, it does not go well. And then for the longest, I was trying to mix them both. And I think that's the craziest thing I've done personally, is try to DJ when you're high as a kite. It does not work. You see everything shining too much lights and stuff. And then I'm like, I cannot mix them two, unfortunately. Some people can. If you go to see some artists, which I'm not going to tell their name, but there are artists that they're super high, but you can never hear them if they're not high like that. You know what I mean? Because it's part of, and this part of the music industry, it involves a lot of that. And especially if you're doing it properly, it can add up. It can be a good experience, So for me, DJing, I don't get crazy on anything.
So, man, in terms of like your legacy, like when people look back at your music, like what do you want to be remembered for?
For my music, I'm a huge fan of old school house music, like I was saying. And Frankie Knuckles is one of my biggest inspirations. He's considered the godfather of house music. And he has a quote that I take it to my life as a motto. He said, the moment that you think you're bigger than the music, in the moment you're done. It's not about you. And I understand, the whole spectrum of, being a DJ, you know what I mean? All the things that comes with them, being the center of the attention and everything. I get all that. But in the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about the music. And that's what I want to leave. I want to leave my legacy, my music. One of the things when I first started producing, that it was my dream. And I said, I want all the DJs to play my music, and DJs that I follow my entire career. My dream is to see them playing my music, and I can say that I achieved that dream.
In terms of the specific sound, what do you want them to remember in terms of your sound?
Music that I experiment with different sounds, I didn't do one particular thing, I tried techno. I loved, and I played a lot of techno back, and it's not the hard techno, but the more like groovy type of techno, like Carlo Leo type of stuff. And, and then I tried the tech house. And then I think the tech house is what got me a little more recognized, especially on the local scene here in South Florida. But then when I started making Afro house, the more Latin type of Afro house, that's when, my name got out there internationally. And I think I didn't play it safe, and it got me to what I wanted to be. Not me, but my music. I got a chance to see Carla Cox playing my tracks and supporting my tracks. The DJs that I love, like Nick Fanciulli, the guys from Deep Shakers, Claude Von Strock, and a guy that I love dearly, and I've been a huge fan from years, Roger Sanchez. To see he playing one of my tracks at his special Defected radio show, it was a moment for me. Seeing Carl Cox playing a remix of one of my tracks at a festival, it blew my mind. So, this is the legacy I want. This is what is important for me, to see other DJs. I don't do it because of it, but it's good to see them valuing what you do, saying like, you're doing it properly, so, it's special and I'm going to play, because I just play things that I believe. And you can send me 100 tracks. I'm going to pick the ones that I think that I believe. And I'm not saying they're the all the tracks aren't good, enough or anything like it. But the tracks that I believe that it's part of my sounds as a DJ, as an artist, and then that's what I want. I want people to pick the ones that they believe. That's why I don't get stuck in one genre.
Being an artist is not easy, right? It's like you do what you love, but at the end of the day, an artist is always kind of looking for approval, whether you want to admit it or not, right? So it's cool when like you got people like Carl Cox and all these people, like he's like the dad of tech house, you know what I mean? Playing your tracks, that's a win right there.
But it's not about that, and they understand this. He understands this since he started. He started like early '80s. He was doing exactly what I was doing when I started. I started playing at house parties, and then from house parties, the last DJ at a club at an after hours for 200 people. That most of the nights it was just 50 club heads in there, and he was doing his thing since the beginning, and he never stopped doing that. But of course, Carl Cox is a good example that you gave. Carl Cox became a businessman. He understands how the industry works. And, when he closed his party at in 2020, in 2016, the Space Ibiza, when he closed that party, I knew since that day happened that he will come back to Ibiza even bigger. They made a club called Universe, and he is the resident at Universe, and the club is 10 times bigger than Space Ibiza. And then, this is what he does. But go watch a video from him when he first started, and watch a video of him right now. He uses more equipment, and he creates more. He uses a lot of the technology that can be provided to him. He loves to experience, but he has the same passion, the same love. You're gonna see that black big chocolate sweating the same way. The same way. I love him. And the day I met him, I told him that, you big black chocolate, come here, I'm hugging you. I love him. I think he's not just an example, an inspiration, not just for me, for many, many, many artists, because he does it for the love. And of course, he does as well as business, and he makes good money out of it.
Yeah, I think it's important, like as an artist and DJ, to understand the business and like, you know, you have to play the system. You know what I mean? Especially in a competitive nature like Miami, even Fort Lauderdale, bro. It's like the promoters don't care, bro. They don't care how good you think your music is. They want to know how many heads you could bring, and it's sad, but you can't blame them either because there's a lot of risk on the promoters. Jeff knows putting on a party. It's risky. So if an artist knows the business and he's good about growing his business as an artist, that's when you see DJs blow up. So, bro, where can we find your music? Are you on social media? Where can we find more of your work?
I am everywhere and anywhere. I'm hiding most of the time in my house. But when I'm out, yes. So I'm gonna give you some of my social media, the regular things, Facebook, Instagram. You just go put at Lui Danzi. It's gonna be everything together. LuiDanzi. Very easy to remember, very easy name. And then to buy, all the streaming and places that you can buy, Beatport, Track Source, Spotify, Apple Music, all this. Same name, just put Lui Danzi. It's very, very, very easy. I do have some new tracks coming out. I was talking to Jeff that I have something else for him too, for La Gente Groove, that I hope he likes it.
Back to back with La Gente.
And I love releasing with people that believes, in my vision, in my music, and I believe in what the record label is doing too. I've been in love with the few releases they have. And of course, I'm going to be part of now and in the future, as long as they allow me to send demos. And but you can find me in all those places. YouTube, I have some videos up if you want to watch me doing my thing. Music coming out. I think next month I have two Afro House coming out with a very good friend of mine from my city. He's from Brazil, from my own city, Recife.
Rio de Janeiro.
No, he's from Recife, man, and I met this guy at Mode, I think. I met him at Mode, and we became like instant friends, and we did this couple tracks together, these tunes, and it's coming out on his record label. His name is Ramones Campello. He's been making a lot of noise, and I'm so proud and happy for him, Not just because we're from the same place, but because he deserves it as an artist. So yeah, and then for next year I got some more tech house, some Afro coming out. Just trying to,
Just trying to cook.
man, trying to cook some good stuff. And I've been for 2 years without producing.
Oh, really? So you kind of
for
got
two
back on
years.
it?
I'm just got back this year. I decided to, what, let me rework
That's a big
in
thing too, bro.
for 2 years, man. I released one track in 2 years. So now it's time to release some of the stuff that I haven't released, work some more in some others,
Yeah, bro. At least once a month, bro.
for sure.
Hell yeah, you have to make your own music, bro. That's what's up, man. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. The latest drop, what's it called again?
It's called El Tocador in La Gente Groove, La Familia.
What are you gonna tell the people about it? What should they do right now? If they just watched this whole interview, what's the first thing they should do after finishing this interview?
Who should do the people? Oh, go get my track, man. Go buy it. Go support, download, stream. Go show your boy Lui Danzi some love. And the record label as well. Follow them, send them demos too. They are growing. They get it bigger, and that's good. It's good to be part of the family for sure. Thank you, guys. Woo.